Brief overview. I've been involved in the quote-unquote alternative media since 2004. I've always been anti-war. You don't have an anti-war candidate. You have candidates right now running for office acting like they're having a debate. They'll sit there in plain sight and have dinner in front of y'all. And it's worse than that. We've been dealing with this potential for a solar flare, as Ed Dames call it, kill shot, but he's not the only one to sound the alarm concerning increased solar activity throughout the entirety of the Obama administration. The guy just passed an executive order to deal with space weather. You can go to amtvmedia.com or other websites, type in executive order Obama space weather. So they're going to hijack the concern, rather, and they're going to use that executive order for their own interest, whatever that is. And also we look at the cyber attack happening yesterday. The East Coast affected and the West Coast affected. It came in waves. Anonymous claimed responsibility to support Assange, but a lot of people believe that they are both intelligence assets, Assange and Anonymous. So what is really going on with the cyber attacks? And then, of course, we'll talk about EMPs, North Korea, their weaponry. And then, of course, there's the economy. And a longer list. All the different reasons why somebody may want to go off-grid. Now, this is somebody coming to you from off-grid because the situation is very serious in society. And a lot of people are not tapped in. They're in denial. They're acting like the election system, the electoral system is going to work. It's only rigged if their candidate loses. There's a lack of intelligence that I'm seeing in today's society, and that is an indicator that we're in a state of degeneration. I call it cognitive impairment or cognitive degeneration. When people believe that, when it's already been shown to them that vote fraud, electoral fraud is an issue, to backpedal and act like it's not an issue is to have some sort of cognitive degeneration. You know, I'm not going to go on a long rant about Alex Jones and all this other stuff. And it's important that people look at the warning signs now. It's not a good sign when you see such propaganda. That is, you know, there's a guy named James David Manning. It's called Obama's a Mac Daddy. Outlaw Worldwide is his YouTube channel. Some of you may not agree with his religious demeanor. You gotta come to Jesus. You gotta come to Jesus. But the way that he calls out the politicians, including Trump, including Jezebel, Hillary, the sinners. Hey, at least he is a pastor that is saying the things that needs to be said to those that are in that particular way of thinking. And I think that is to be respected. He talks about Trump only pushes buttons. The campaign based on hate. And he calls it a white civil war. You got a civil war of white people. They're just getting ready to kill each other. And, you know, I couldn't agree more. He was warning years ago saying, y'all better watch out, saying to some black people, why are you going to rise up? He ain't going to put up with this shit. He's talking about the aftermath of Obama being elected. So the guy has a little bit of credibility, even though he's out there with some of his statements, which we don't need to get into. I don't know why some people choose to go on a more sensational route. But there aren't enough people calling a spade a spade. And there are some people that are going, okay, nobody for president, but they should be thinking about their future. They should be preparing for the future other than just expecting all this death and destruction. So now they brought out World War III, and there are people that don't even normally look at issues like that are hearing that it's trending, that, you know, oh, Russia's moving their largest naval force since the Cold War into Syria. They say if the U.S. does this, it's World War III, and the U.S. continues to do just that. What the hell else is the masses or the people to think? While Putin tells his people, some say 10 million, some say 40 million, know where your bunkers are. Know where your bunkers are. And what do they do here in the United States? They make it harder for us to live off-grid and have our bunker. They want us in these dense population cities, which are obvious military targets. You put more and more people in a cashless society, and hackers are, they're hacking more and more data. So we have a global surveillance society that has not been secured. You know, if we were to go for 5 issues that a candidate that was for real would be speaking about today, preparing for that solar event, or preparing for an economic collapse, or events that lead to war, that lead to bank failures and other things, preparing local communities to be able to access their own on a local basis, not have it all centralized. Water, food, civilian defense force. Talked about it for years. In the event of any major disaster taking place. But because that hasn't happened in places like Portland, and because that hasn't happened in a lot of communities, I've gone to a community, I've migrated elsewhere to a community that's more than likely going to adapt to such an event. Because of their access to water, because of their access to good soil, because of their access to garden seeds, because their good access to animals, from rabbits to goats to horses. When there's only so many people living in that particular area, when there's a certain amount of elk that cross through by the thousands at certain times in the winter. So there's several things to consider. There's whether you're going to be in the urban environment or whether you're going to be off the grid. Prepare to deal with the challenging times ahead. Prepare for both. You can't necessarily do both at the same time, but you can do one for a certain amount of years. Try to be prepared the best of your ability in an urban environment, have those things on hand because these things taking place, but also being prepared to go mobile and go to a place where you will develop some sort of a temporary or permanent structure, or go to a place that's already prepared ahead of time, where you already have certain supplies, where perhaps you have supplies over there and supplies back over here. Take a look at the warning signs of what you're seeing in the media. Let's go back to the news, and this is by design. I've been verbalizing a lot of this on Facebook, but this is the first video where I'm bringing so many different ideas together. Hillary Clinton tells the world we have a 4-minute response rate to a nuclear attack. And the meme goes, Putin's like, hey, thank you, Hillary, and Pentagon's angry at Hillary. So from the lady falling down to a lady, having supposedly the father of a terror suspect smiling as like the guest of honor at like one of her speeches a few months ago, to Hillary's bus dumping sewage in Georgia. That's right, they left a shit bomb. A fecal bomb went down. They dropped the bomb on me. Yep. The people of Georgia were just photographing the DNC fecal bomb, dropping the bomb on Georgia. Really? They were that lazy? I'm just not buying it. There's something just strange about all the weird things that we've seen from Hillary, and I would say Donald as well. No matter who wins in the 2016 presidential election, oh yeah, you got a white civil war. Not just whites, as Manning put it. But the way they've got white against white, within that paradigm of man versus woman, there are people that buy into that shit. Like Hillary is some sort of a representation of women? Or that Donald Trump is some sort of a representation of anti-feminism masculine? No, they're both counterfeits. In plain sight, they'll sit together. There's pictures of them together, multiple pictures of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And some people have put a collage together, where there'll be like dozens of pictures of all of them together. And yet people are in denial. Another thing that I posted earlier this week on social media is a joke. Trump/Clinton 2016. Or Clinton/Trump 2016. Screw these vice president jokers. They're just, but perhaps they are being put in place to replace either of the others. Again, slip into VP, people we know nothing about. Well, with Pence, we know plenty of things about him and how he will represent and build up the military. And it's really just like a throwback to the old George W. Bush years. And people are just applauding and applauding, applauding. And the more shit they talk, the more the masses applaud. You know what it's doing? It's affecting society, it's affecting relationships, but it's all ramping up for massive civil unrest. Because there's going to be civil unrest following the elections. Because either way, a good chunk of America is going to be freaked out and pissed off and believing that the world is going to end. Another thing that I posted this week, hey, problems with your kids, Hillary Clinton, problems at your job, Barack Obama, not getting enough rest, too much insomnia, Donald Trump. Is your car not working? Fucking Bush! And it goes on. And it's not like these people are deceivers. It's like they fill that void for people. Blame the politician, blame the candidate. And I'll tell you what, The very fact that you have both those options is a very bad sign for our future economy, our future military. These people are clowns. And I'm not saying they weren't clowns before. Obama and McCain, oh, that was a bad sign too. But it led to this. It's like it's getting worse each time. They also want to tell us the recession's going away and the national debt's been dealt with. Well, how was the national debt truly declined under Obama? Perhaps more debt was created some other way. I'll tell you about one thing. Have you heard about the national monuments? Oh, the beautiful national monuments. Obama designated this as a national monument. There's got to be a reason why they're designating all these national monuments. Those are valuable chunks of land. Is it possible? Or am I just a conspiracy theorist? Is it possible that perhaps they're designating these areas in Taos, other areas in Colorado, maybe areas in your state, I'm aware of what's happening here, as collateral on the national debt? And then we look at this massive Chinese investment in Seattle, for example, in California, for example. They're holding up the housing market. They're also going into the spread legs of Portland, Oregon. They're going for the kill. And again, they got us looking at these monkeys on stage. Clinton, Trump, they talk shit to each other, and then people talk about that in the narrative about how they're talking shit to each other. Then they have dinner and laugh in front of us. Then boom, cyber attack. Oh, everybody goes, oh, they're going to blame it on Russia. Oh, this is all propaganda. How do you know that foreign governments like Russia aren't working with the higher levels of intelligence within the United States and China? And at a higher level, some sort of a war is going to be coordinated to send man and woman against man and woman. And I am saying to you at the top of the pyramid, that is the plan. That is the plan. And everything that I'm seeing now in the news, and I'm just shouting out headlines left and right. Oh, now Philippines is with China. They're no longer with the United States. You have, again, the Russian Navy dispatched to Syria. And oh, the world is looking by design at these movements that are taking place. South China Sea, China continues to build up. And people say, well, they should be allowed because the United States has done a certain amount of things. So just let China do whatever. And then the United States is like, no way are you going to move forward with this. We are going to stop you. And then you see Japan getting more involved in the war game drills with China. And the allegation that China just basically went straight for Japan, some fighter jets. And they just stopped at a certain point and just turned around. I mean, it's like one big, very coordinated theater. Those fighter jet pilots, those Marines, whatever nation they're from, most of them have no idea this is taking place. Some people are so damaged that they think that they just have to work for the military to make an income. They know this is staged, but it's like, hey, it's a job. Yeah, I know it's staged at the top. We fund our enemies, but what you gotta do? I don't know. Have you thought about reading a book? Have you thought about discovering who you are? Okay, because knowing that they're setting you up for this, you play all these video games, you shoot, and it's World War III, and it's Call of Duty, fuck, Call of Duty, fuck. Oh, it's just a video game, boom! And now world events are mirroring the video games, and no one has a clue. Do we have to bring in the solar flares? Yes. We've seen an increase in geomagnetic storms, and we see the ties between the sun and the cycles of war. And this is the tail end of the solar cycle, and we see civil unrest in Portland, Oregon, as you just saw in a recent upload. We saw arrests in Chicago, more drive-by shootings in Portland and Chicago, but Chicago, again, record gang violence, crazy stuff going on in New York, all that political negative energy, that psychic civil war going on as the election comes up. And I hear somebody over here. I will be back in just a moment. Looks like I have a visitor. All right, here I am about a half hour later. So that was actually pretty good. You know, I meet people through others organically. And even though Facebook can help with some of that, it's more the direction that I want to go, more of an organic. When I meet people, I meet them in person. You know, I separate my online world from my physical world. And I can see how the need for independence is strong And there are certain people that I don't want to be dependent on at all, not even for a ride to town. And sometimes it's because of the way they are. Sometimes certain people could be a little bit cocky, like, oh, you need me for something, or, they could be a little bit arrogant, as an off-the-gridder about other people. I mean, certain off-gridders have certain personalities that are unbearable. And so having the right circle of friends is really, really important. And sometimes, again, it's quality, not quantity. So tomorrow this person will be over, and I'll be getting some equipment help, getting maybe a fence so I can mark the address and see about maybe getting some things delivered here on the property via UPS. And that'll really open up some doors and help me in my prepping process. As I talked about in the last video, getting some of the basic essentials that I need. But going from the digital age, the digital era, all this dependency on technology, to meeting people organically and actually finding the things that you need to live off grid more affordably than just going to the big box stores, to having appreciation for nature more so, or at least just the same as somebody might be entertained by Netflix films. And by the way, Netflix went down also in the cyber attack recently. Maybe Netflix could have stayed down for a couple of weeks. Just leave PayPal alone. Twitter's going down. Let it go down. Look, there's going to be these threats and internet false flags, but they really don't want people off the internet. The more they keep people constantly in this, and taking all that entertainment from the Matrix, the more they're distracted from reality. So, this is a time that people should tap into reality and step away from all this entertainment. And for some people that are on paths like mine, it's getting away from a dense population center, getting somewhere natural, where you can be in your own space for months and months and months, and not be so easily controlled by politicians. Well, we have to protect you. Or, when you go outside of a realm where they are protecting you and you're protecting yourself and you're relying on yourself, there's no need for them. There's no need for them. It's a path. It's a process. And we don't become 100% self-sufficient overnight. It's a process. And a lot of it's psychological. It's stepping back from those people, places, and things. All these pleasures of the flesh. All these distractions. All these circus rides. All these fast cars and fast people in and out of our lives. Just like nothing. Moving forward. Like it's the last day on earth. It's not the last day on earth. There are things to appreciate about our lives, about our bodies, about our temples, and, we ought to prepare ourselves to be alive longer than we're told we're going to be living. There's a lot of negative things out there in the mainstream, in the propaganda. It's above and beyond in the alternative media, and I want to be a beacon of light, a beacon of truth through these dark days we're in, reporting to you what's going on from an off-the-grid perspective, because it's needed and it's missing. With that, I'm finally going to bring this video to a close. Thank you for watching. There's going to be more videos coming your way. I've worked so hard to get to this point where I can come to you from off the grid and upload from off the grid and not have to go anywhere, and to keep my mind and keep my focus and keep my spirit on the content. And there's a lot to talk about. Thank you for watching.